In the last video, we looked at scientific notation. And scientific notation, just as a really quick recap, is just looking at numbers and writing them where we're getting rid of the extra zeros. So we have something like 5.76 times 10 to the third power. We talked about how to put that into standard notation, and standard notation is just writing it with all the zeros. Typically, though, you're going to see numbers in chemistry written out in scientific notation to get rid of that extra kind of noise with the zeros. So we need to learn how to put this into a calculator because we are going to do so many calculations with it. In order to do this, because you are at home right now and you are not with a calculator, normally we have a class set. With that class set, the calculators that we have here look like this. They're the TI-30s. These are the most user-friendly for chemistry and physics and science classes. They're little, they can fit in easy places. If you have a graphing calculator for your math class, one of these will work perfectly. Any graphing calculator will work. I've just got this one. This is my own personal one that I use day to day. Casio also is probably the second most used company for calculators, so I'm going to show you how to use one of these as well. Now, if you're sitting at home and you don't have access to a scientific calculator, you could go to a website called calculator.net. When you go to calculator.net, let me see if I can make this any bigger here, it does say scientific calculator. When you click on scientific calculator, it does bring up a calculator here. The button that we're looking for is EXP for exponent, and I'll show you how to use that in a second. Now, your other option, you do have a cell phone. Here we go. So with my cell phone here, when you bring it up, I have an iPhone. When you look at this, it does have just a simple calculator. If you rock it on its side like this, it turns into a scientific calculator. So I'm going to show you how to use all these different options depending on what you have. I usually do revert back to this one because this is the one, like I said, that we have a class set of, the one that I keep in my backpack, things like that. This calculator and the graphing calculator both have the same options and the same button, but in order to put in scientific notation into any calculator, you do need to find the button on this one that says EE, and I want to see if I can make that a little bit bigger. See right there, it says EE. It's actually on the x to the -1. So how you get to that EE button, like if I'm plugging in the 5.76 times 10 to the third power, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push 5.76. To get to that EE, which means exponent, we're going to push second E. And my screen just has one E. That's to distinguish it from the other E up there. But it is just a capital E. That E is exponent, and it puts in the times 10 to the whatever power. Do not push times. Do not push 10. Don't use that little caret button. Sometimes your math teachers will have you use that. Don't use that. Your math will work out okay, fine, when you are multiplying. But if you try to use the times 10 caret when you're dividing without parentheses, it won't work and it'll error out. So we want 5.76e, so exponent. The problem says 3. And then for this part of it, I would just push times 9.653 second E -4. So I'm going to push -4. And it comes up with an answer. We can just round to 2 decimal places. So 5.56 is my answer there. I'm going to write that down before I lose it. Same thing on my graphing calculator. With this calculator, again, I'm going to push 5.76 second E, so it's still right there, the second E button. And then I'm just going to push 3. No times, no 10, no caret button. This says 5.76 times 10 to the third power. And then my problem says times 9.653 second E -4. And again, we get the same answer. So those are my TI calculators. A Casio calculator is just a little bit different. The only difference here with my 5.76, instead of the E button on a Casio, it actually says times 10 to X. So you're just going to push that, and it actually says times 10, and then it actually throws you up into that little exponent to 3. And then I'm just going to hit times 9.653. And then again, I've got the times 10 to the negative, so negative 4, and then enter. And again, I get the same answer. So my negative is here on a Casio, and then the exponent is down here. It actually says times 10 to the whatever power. Sometimes the Casios do say EXP for exponent, but it's the same one. Casios are always down here at the bottom. For my web-based calculator, so if you're just using your phone or whatever, again, calculator.net, and then hit scientific calculator. With this one, we're going to put in the 5.76. Ooh, that doesn't have a backspace. Okay, 5.76. My 7 doesn't work. Let me try this again. 5.76. There we go. EXP is exponent. So it types in times 10, and then it gives me a little box. So I'm going to put in 3. And then I'm going to push times 9.653. And then EXP, negative, I don't know where that is on this one. Okay, so on this one we're going to have to push 4 and then hit negative. You're going to have to do that in a backwards order on this one. So I hit 4, negative. Uh-oh. Nope, I don't have the option to just delete one. I overhit this. I'm not a big fan of using an iPad or a phone for a calculator because of that. And this one doesn't have a backspace, so it's not the easiest thing to do. But that is okay. We already know the answer is 5.56. Just check your keystrokes if you're using your phone or an iPad or something like that to make sure that you're hitting the right thing. Just like I hit the wrong thing a few times. That happens often. So you don't want to lose an answer because you didn't do it correct. So again, I'm back to my phone. The phone is very similar to what I had. This one is actually pretty nice because you can just like backspace it and just slide back and forth to delete things. But we have 5.76. EE is right here for your exponent, so EE. And then I'm just going to hit a 3. So then I have my first part of it, and then I'm going to hit times, and then 9.65. Let's say that I accidentally hit an extra 5. To delete on that, you just slide over and it gets rid of that. So 3, and then EE. Again, you're going to have to do this backwards order because it's negative. So you're going to push 4, and then you're going to hit the negative right up here. So negative 4, and then hit equals, and then we have the same answer again. So the phone and the iPad or just a web-based is a little bit more difficult to try to get the right answer, but you will get the right answer either way. I'm going to go back to my regular calculator to do the other ones for your examples. So when we're looking at the examples here, the second example that you have in your PowerPoint, it says 7.773 times 10, so second E, and then it's 47, divided by 2.986, second E, and then 56. So when we do this, this calculator gives you all those zeros. Those are all placeholder zeros. You could write your answer in scientific notation if you wanted to. If you have this type of calculator, a graphing calculator, that would actually already get rid of the zeros for you and it give you your answer in scientific notation. Let me show you that. Because you might be working with a friend and your friend gets a completely different answer, or so you think, than the answer that you get, but they're actually identical. So if you see this one, it says 2.60 times 10 to the negative 9th. This calculator didn't automatically put it into scientific notation, but the 2.6 would round to 3. And then the negative 9, if we count out all those zeros, there's going to be 8 zeros there, and then over the 3 would give you that exponent of 9. So these two actually give you the exact same answer. If you want to put these calculators into scientific notation all the time, you could go second, and then SCI is scientific notation. Right now it's floating between the two, but we can put it in scientific notation all the time, and then it puts the answer in scientific notation. If you want to give your answer in scientific notation all the time for all of your answers, completely fine with me. It's up to you unless it specifically says write your answer in scientific notation. So my answer here, just to write it down, would be 2.60 times 10 to the negative 9th. Or if you did the other calculator and you wrote it out like this, that is completely fine as well. I don't care either way. It's totally up to you how you wanted to write your answer depending on which calculator you had. With this one, it does give you parentheses. You don't actually have to use the parentheses, but if you wanted to, parentheses are going to make your life a lot easier when it comes down to the math here in a little bit. You can open the parentheses and you can type it in exactly like what you have on your problem, and it won't do anything with the order of operations to give you a wrong answer. So if you can see, sorry, there's a little bit of glare, I'm continuing on and I'm just going to hit divided by 5.5. Second E, negative 19, and then it spits out my correct answer of 3.52 times 10 to the negative 15th power. So whenever you have problems like this, you can just plug it all in your calculator. It gives you the right answer. Just be aware of parentheses if it's written in the problem. Now I do want to point out one thing. I did say that if you do this type of problem when you're dividing and you're using times 10 to the little caret sign, it is going to give you a wrong answer, and I want to show you what that looks like so that way you kind of know what to do. Normally we would do this in class and I would show you the kind of errors that you would as people get it, but because we don't have other people in class, I'm just going to have to show you. So if you push 7.773 times 10 caret 47, and then I hit divided by 2.986 times 10 to the little caret sign 56, it's going to give you an error because it's an overflow. So what it's doing is it's taking 7.773 times 10 to the 47th power, and then it's dividing by 9.86 times, and then the 10 to the 56th power, and there's not enough capacity in these calculators to do that. So that's why we have to use the exponent button here, and we were able to get the right answer just a little bit ago. If you need help with your calculator, you can always ask, but I do suggest making sure that you have a calculator, a physical calculator in your possession at home.